I'm Paul Dayball from Niagara College, Welland, Ontario, Canada. This is a small video on really basic design concepts for applications, websites, that kind of thing. This is not meant to be anything too forward-thinking on design, but really meant for people who mainly are programmers and are looking to do a little bit of design, make their apps look a little nicer. Before we start, I want to mention that in good design, the first thing you really deal with is a list of requirements that the application has to do at the end. Just remember that really before you start programming, you really need all of these things up front. You need a list of requirements. What does the app have to do at the end? What is it? Like, what are the 4 or 5 things that this app absolutely has to do? And then what are the other things that are kind of nice to haves within the application? And then in the design portion of that, you then take that list of requirements and you make sure what is the most important thing that the customer is looking for. And that's what you're going to get onto those first screens. And those are the things you're going to make sure are larger and that are more prominent or have more real estate on your screens. So just make sure that you always start with a good list of requirements. First, let's start with what we can and cannot do. And I have to kind of apologize. It's really hard to get these old images to look okay. But what I really want you to look at here is this is one of the original GPSs. And the problem with them was your eye has no idea where to go on this to gather information. What is important? What is not important? Example, they have a heading up there, up in here. They have a heading, and then they have north next to it. And it's just very difficult to understand how this works. Unfortunately, I actually had one of these GPSs in a boat one time, and they were really difficult to figure out where you were. Let's take a look at a more modern one. Well, look at that. The modern one really puts a lot less information on the screen, but puts on the information that's really important to you. Example. Over here, it shows you the accuracy and the updates and the altitude and all that stuff. And this is stuff you rarely ever use. But over here, they've put the most important information right up front. Where am I going to turn? Where am I going? We have a map. What's it look like when I get there? What's the arrival time? What's my current speed? And what's the speed limit? Those are all really kind of important things. But they've done it in a way that's very easy for you to take a look at. And then if you need to do more stuff, of course, there's a setting thing here. You could pull over to the side of the road and do some settings or do it before you leave. But you don't really need all that information up front.
5 design tips for a professional mobile app UI. Creating an app is more than just punching in code. A lot of thought must go into making a popular and easy-to-use app. Here are 5 design tips for creating a professional user interface. Number 1. Keep the interface simple and responsive. It can be hard for a user to know what to do if they're immediately overwhelmed with content. Streamline each screen to only show users the essentials. It's also important that the app's display scales consistently across a wide variety of mobile devices. Number 2. Consider spacing between elements. Related items should be close together without obscuring one another. This prevents your app from appearing cluttered. The same goes for text elements. Provide enough spacing between words to improve readability. Number 3. Stay consistent. Use a color palette limited to a few complementary colors or analogous shades. If you have a brand, stick with those colors. It's also a good practice to use a single font or 2 fonts that complement each other. Number 4. Consider navigation. Users should be able to access all parts of your app effortlessly. One way to achieve this is with buttons at the bottom of the screen that are present throughout the app. This allows easy thumb access to commonly used functions. If you prefer a cleaner look, you can opt for a hamburger-style menu. Number 5. Follow platform-specific design languages. iOS and Android have their own common design guidelines, so don't try and reinvent the wheel. Users of each platform should feel at home within your app. For example, iOS icons tend to use a flat design. On the other hand, Android employs its signature material design guidelines, which uses real-world influences like the interplay of lighting and shadows. There you have it, 5 design tips for a professional mobile app UI. If you're creating a mobile application, the development and design professionals at Zico are ready to work with you. Visit us at zcode.com or give us a call at 603-881-9200.
Consistency in your apps. Try not to reinvent the mobile world. Really, don't try to do that. As a somebody who isn't a professional designer, you're not looking to go out and make your mark in the design industry. You're looking to make an app that's really useful and people can use, and that is a good sellable item. So try to use common imagery, and I'll try to explain this. If you take a look at a lot of these buttons, you would maybe be able to figure out what most of these buttons mean without any text at all. Example, I think we all know that this is kind of home. We all know that this is what's our location. We all know that this is a search function. This probably plays a video or some sort of a movie or something like that. We know what this is, right? It's, like to connect to something. The picture thing here, obviously like an ordered list or some sort of drop-down list or something. Move forward, move backwards, play. Those are all very common. Even this one here, like the ability to email right from here. So these are all really common, and you can see that it didn't really need all of this to do that, but it's really nice. But use the common imagery that everybody already understands. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. It is always better to keep the design very simple. Don't hide anything, and always say to yourself, is this the best place for it? So when you are looking at your screens, make sure that you find what it is I actually need this to happen. What is it that needs to be done? An example of that is here. On this side over here, the poorly designed one, there is way too much going on. I have to figure out what I'm doing, and it says I've got some sort of reward, but what do I do with that reward? And all of this extra stuff is just hard to manage. Where this little pop-up window tells me exactly what it is that's going to happen. So you can see that less is more here. And you really have to decide, do I need the rest of this on the screen? Navigation is key to everything here. The user really needs to quickly see what options are available to them. And the important information does not get buried. It should go right up top, and it should be the most important thing. Example, in this weather app, really important in this weather app that I want to know what the current temperature is right now. How cold is it out? You often pull out your phone and look at a weather app, and you want to know what the phone is. The next thing is you want to know what's going to happen for the rest of the day, and then you can then go down to what's happening for the rest of the week. And then down at the bottom is a bunch of other options I can do. But really, the most important information is the largest information on the screen. It also attracts your eye the quickest. So just be aware of that when you're designing that. You want to make sure that the most important information is the most central part of the screen. Like it's the part that everybody looks at first. I often tell people to use the little trick is to get away from the screen quite a ways, open your eye and see where your eye lands on that screen without you reading the text. Just see where your eye moves to, and that's a good way of telling if you've got something in the best positioning. Fonts. People love to use really unique fonts and varied fonts and really kind of, more modern look, avant-garde fonts. But really, if you can try to just pick one or two fonts that are very easy to read, very good to read. A lot of times I will pick one font and then I vary the thickness or the color of the font. So example, if I can get one of the professional fonts like Myriad Pro or something, then I can make it thin, medium, bold, thicker, really bold. I can turn it into different colors, and I can then go after the italics and the bold, like the italics of the font will really make it stand out. So you really don't have to pick a lot of fonts. Just pick one clean font that's really easy to read on your screen. Make sure you have good contrast. We'll talk about that more in a minute, but make sure you have really good contrast so that don't put light gray on a light gray background or that where you can't really read it easily. It has to be very readable, very quick for all apps. As I said, non-standard fonts, like the very curly script fonts. They're sometimes quite hard to read, so you have to be really careful what you do with them. Here's a great example of a nice clean design. You can see that they've picked a color model, very, very clean color model. And they've also made it very simple for me to go through this piece. Not too much information on each screen, but the screens all blend together because when you go from one to the next, they all have a similar look. So you don't want it to be like go to one screen, go to the next, and you think you're on a different app. You want it to have a similar feel and look. Again, here's another one of those type of designs. Very clean. All they've used is like one color. They've used a shade of that color. Like, so they've used this darker red and then they've tinted it back to get this kind of a lighter color. But you can see very clean, very up-to-date modern design. You do not have to over-design the screen. Keep it clean and you'll be much happier with your end result. Again, very clean. Here's sort of a nice layup. Notice that the fonts are all the same size and in a location at the top, so I know what screen I'm on. Down here, very nice layout, very simple to read. So I go from this to this, and then in my profile, I'm getting what I've been doing lately, and it's all very nice and clean. So this is an example of a really well-designed app. Colors. With limited number of colors, ensure that they all work. Okay, so if you're going to go pick a color, use one of the color palette things that I've talked about before, one of the websites that allow you to help work with color palettes, and try to get a color palette that is something that matches the piece that you're doing or matches the company that you're doing, and just make sure that you don't get too many colors on the screen. And as you've seen with the applications that I've been showing you, they've actually used like one color or maybe two colors. They keep it very, very simple. Here is a high contrast at the top and then low contrast at the bottom. I think you can quickly see that the ones at the bottom are a little harder to read. The ones on the top have much more vivid impact. Wow. I often talk about things vibrating, and the one on the left-hand side here, if you look at it, your eyes will start to actually kind of separate those things out and vibrate around them. And then you get these funny looks on the edges where the two colors to come together. So these are not really great colors to put together. They are hard for the person to read, and they won't read it for very long because their eyes will get tired very quickly. All right, this has been Paul Dayball. Thank you very much for listening to this podcast. I'm going to end with a video that I've brought in. I do want to thank, I've used two videos in this presentation, and I do want to thank those people for the use of the videos. They had put them on YouTube, and I've now included them into mine. But I just want to give a shout out to anybody who have been using their material in this time of the pandemic. I think it's okay for us to try to use as much material as we can to get people through their education. All right. Thank you very much and have a great day. Stay safe.
And we back at it again. Zim alone in his apartment with no friends, making some designs, trying to get the ends, but I don't make no money, so life is kind of funny when you have to eat the bunny that's out on the street. Uh-oh. I don't do that. What up, design champions? Welcome to episode 5 of Design Time. I hope your week has been really marvelous. Let's get started by grabbing something from the medium jar. Oh yeah. I really like these jars. They're kind of cool, mysterious. Our medium for today is a mobile app. Okay, that'll be fun. Perfect. Our project will be Cool Backpacks Incorporated. That's tight. Okay, so we have to make a mobile app for Cool Backpacks Incorporated. Immediately what I'm envisioning is a mobile app that allows you to customize what you want your backpack to look like. I think it'd be pretty cool. Okay, there's no time to wait. Let's get going and make it great. Bada boom shakalaka. Cool Backpacks Incorporated will have one of the coolest mobile apps for designing a custom backpack. I've kind of gone with the premise that the app will ask you a few simple questions to see what kind of backpack you're looking for, and then will allow you to customize kind of specifically with an interface. Now I'm going to plan out the flow of information on paper, and I'm going to do this pretty quickly with a Sharpie, so it won't look great.
Here I am sketching out all of the pages. I wouldn't really call them pages, I'll call them screens because it's more in a mobile app. I'm sketching out all of the screens and info that I want on each screen yeah, for the whole mobile app. I think I finish with about 11 different screens, and I come up with some interesting ideas and ways to organize the information. But actually, when I get into Illustrator, I redo these to make the wireframes just a little bit better, and then I could really wrap my mind around where all the information is and how it flows. So let's do that. I worked off the paper that I drew with the black marker, and I brought it all into Illustrator, and I tightened up the flow of information. I actually got pretty detailed with this wireframe. I went into where I wanted the information, how the information would flow, and during this time I came up with some pretty good ideas to make the user know where they were in the process of customizing their backpack. It's pretty cool, and I was ready to add some color. It was at this point that I realized this app is not looking good. It's purple, and I have no idea why I've been choosing these colors. And frankly, there was a profile picture. Why is there a profile picture? So luckily I noticed this, and I pivoted, and I had a pretty good idea of what I could do to make the whole app a little bit more cohesive. So I started making a cool background, and basically from this background, it helped me make the final changes on this app that really brought it together and gave it life. Let's take a look at what the app looked like in the end. Into the forest we go, where creepy crawly things unknown will sneak up and kill you or tickle your toe. Into the forest we go, where creepy crawly things unknown will sneak up and kill you or tickle your toe. I lost my phone, where my mobile at? Lost my mind, need a mobile nap. I'm so fly, I need a Nobel Prize. This here design took a little bit of time, but it's pretty cool. I hope you'll find a mobile app to challenge my design sense, and I'll beat the trends. Let's not pretend that this ain't sick. Color schemes are hard to pick. Positioning things is difficult, kid, but simplicity always wins. Simplicity always wins. Green and light blue, the gray fights through. A forest landscape definitely helps to create a feel that's almost surreal. A world is out there and it's better than you know. Into the forest we go, where creepy crawly things unknown will sneak up and kill you or tickle your toe. Into the forest we go, where creepy crawly things unknown will sneak up and kill you or tickle your toe.
I had some difficulty because in the beginning I was going down the wrong road. I didn't really know exactly what the overall feeling should be. And then when I made a pivot and I decided that, hey, we should go for it. It should be a backpack company, it should be outdoors, all the colors should be outdoorsy. It really brought an awesome cohesiveness to the project. One thing I think is super great about the mobile app is the cohesiveness. The colors, the background looks like forest, and the fact that it's a backpack customization app. I think that's all really good. Something I could improve about this project, one idea I had that was really cool and interesting would be, there's 3 colors for the backpack: sandstone, forest, and charcoal. Maybe if you choose forest, the background is that forest background that we used, and if you choose sandstone, maybe the background then becomes a desert, and if you choose charcoal, then the background turns into a cityscape. I think that would be really cool and interactive and just add another deeper element to the app itself. Another thing I would probably improve would be, right now we have when you're selecting what kind of straps you want, it's just bars. It's like rectangles. If I wanted to put more into it, I would make all of those straps look like real straps. that would be much better. Okay, remember to get out there and keep designing cool stuff for you and everyone else in the world to enjoy and be like, bam, that guy's cool, that girl's amazing. And if you wouldn't mind, maybe leave in the comments below one thing that you liked about the app and one thing that you would improve. Next time, I'll see you later, alligator, and stay awesome, possum. What up, design champions? My name is Zimri. Welcome to episode 4. Yes.